at the beginning, early stages of a regime change. So from a Fed easing, accommodative bond buying set of policies to one that's the opposite. So draining the Fed balance sheet or down, raising interest rates, and that raises the possibility that they can make a mistake. I mean, they're not flawless, obviously, and so you've got what's happening with volatility is you're getting some probability of a mistake, of recession priced in, and that's I think something that you're going to have to live with for a while until it's clear that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So are you in the recession?
This is by far one of the best interviews that I've watched in a little while. This is Bill Miller over on CNBC, and honestly, guys, I recommend everybody to watch a couple of these videos because it is not going to be the most detrimental for your crypto investments, literally, but it gives you a very good macro overview of the markets. And I've told you guys a couple of times before, if you are a big crypto investor, you are really heavily relying on where the traditional markets go. Now, a little bit earlier in my videos, I was actually telling you guys that things are going down. And when I say going down, I don't mean the prices are lowering, but I mean things in the crypto space are at a point where, well, things might get a really sharp increase or a sharp decline. And, well, the reason I'm saying it's so confusing is because there's quite a lot of macro factors which show bullish signs for Bitcoin. There's quite a lot of signs which show some really negative influxes, but listen to what Bill Miller says about the markets right now. It's very interesting.
The economy is very strong. Unemployment's low. Earnings for many companies are at records. State tax receipts are rising way above expectations. Credit card usage is high. And so all of those things, the stimulus is tremendous. So all those things say that the economy is strong and a recession is not on the horizon. Doesn't mean it can't appear, but that's what's going on now, and we're trying to invest in this particular environment and not one that we really can't forecast.
Do you have to?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things which he also stated, which of course is that the government could make a couple of mistakes in some different senses, which could again lead to a recession. However, hopefully you guys get the point. This man sees the economy as a really beautiful thing as of this point, and I mean from a certain perspective he's right. But let's take a little bit of a look at what he said else. Yeah, after thinking for a little second, that didn't really seem right. But again, guys, I am not a native English speaker, so I can make a couple of mistakes. It's okay. Bill Miller said this about Bitcoin. And to be honest with you, I think the whole story kind of coincides and comes together. He said Bitcoin will be adopted by institutions this year by, again, billionaire investor Bill Miller. You got to realize, this man, for example, has a very realistic approach on the markets that I share. He's very optimistic about most things which are happening, and again, very doubtful in the sense that a recession could come. The Fed could make some mistakes, and again, bonds are not interesting and whatnot. He just has a real view on the markets, and he doesn't really factor in or explain the turmoil over in Russia, Ukraine, for example, that type of stuff, which we don't want to mention too much about. And I personally think is going to have some grave consequences. Yet, again, the counter to that is look at the numbers. A lot of things look really good. Then again, we could kind of counter those numbers by the massive inflation. And it just depends on your perspective, which again leads us to believe that right now predicting where things are going to go is very difficult, which he again kind of replies to by saying you shouldn't at least try to forecast things. You should kind of see what's happening right now and basically adapt to that or work with that. And I kind of agree with that. Then again, guys, you already know on this channel, we like to try forecasting. Even though it's not financial advice, we try our best to kind of predict and see where the market is about to go, because that way you make the most amount of money. And I think it's also a really big difference on whether or not you're playing with billions of dollars or just a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand, maybe tens of thousands, maybe 100,000, maybe a million, maybe 5 million, in comparison to, billions upon billions of dollars. So I kind of understand that sentiment as well. Then again, the most important takeaway from this right here is that most people, regardless of what they think about the markets, we've shared a couple of these insights by now. Everybody thinks that this technology is going to keep going on. And you know why? A very good part of the reason why Bitcoin is really so popular is, it's not as a warning, but it's as we all know that if the Fed fails and things come back down, a recession comes, the market cycle switches over, the business cycle, that there's a very small chance, basically, that the dollar will prosper, that stocks will prosper, that bonds in that sense will prosper. It depends, but most of them won't. So what exactly will then do well? And a lot of people right now are speculating on this Bitcoin asset for it to take over. So even though a lot of fundamentals are not looking as if it's going to get there, well, again, there can be mistakes. Again, Bitcoin is popping off, and again, it is being factored in most likely. The fact that Bitcoin is right now not, at going lower, basically like the stock market has been moving into a little bit, does kind of seem as if the bigger guys are factoring it in. Remember, I've showed this to you earlier today. Take a look at this. Take a good look at this for yourself and take it in, all right? Take it in properly and breathe it out. Companies hiring for crypto jobs. Look at that list. NFL, Nike, Hulu, Visa, Meta, Apple, Nvidia, Disney, PayPal, Google, Fidelity, Amazon, Microsoft, JP Morgan, MasterCard, State Street, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. There's no way, guys. There's absolutely no way that this is not going to get the main adoption, which we all thrive for, which we all talk about here. No. And I honestly believe the fact that crypto is not crashing under the pressure of the stock market and the uncertainty, I think is being factored in. The fact that whatever happens, Bitcoin will survive, Bitcoin will thrive. I honestly believe so to the fullest of my ability. Having said that, what is going on in the charts right now? A couple of really interesting things have happened. Then again, before we move on, guys, if you want to actually trade, make sure you check out Bybit. A link is down below. It's the exchange I personally use. A couple of you guys said you don't like Bybit. For some reason, it might not be available in your region. Check out KuCoin or PrimeXBT. A couple of links are down below. Those are the exchanges that I personally use. Bybit is my number one, though, because there's some crazy bonuses that you can get, which is why I always give the thumbs up about that one. Now, in the charts, a couple of things which we expected to happen, a couple of unprecedented events have indeed occurred as well. So I'm noticing a little bit of lag. All right, so we were having a little bit of lag, but to continue on, what we're seeing in the charts right now, a couple of things that were really expected, a couple of things weren't. What was expected a little bit was the move that we're seeing right now in the XRP price. What we're seeing is a very bullish move as it currently stands, but it's within margin. What I mean with that is we had our nice little reversal at the 50 EMA, not at the 77 cent area, which I kind of expected to get this reversal from. Then again, what we're seeing right now is a classic bullish engulfing candle. And that basically means that the candle we're seeing right here is completely engulfing the previous candle. And when it happens like this, it usually is a very bullish sign. Now, right now, our resistance basically lies here at about 85 cents. So to be honest with you guys, if we get a close, I'm going to say, even right now as a bullish engulfing, depending on what the next day is going to showcase, hopefully it even closes above 87 or so cents. If we do that though, guys, I'm definitely adding a ton of money to my Bybit long positions. It's going to be crazy. Then again, for Bitcoin, we had two scenarios, right? We already kind of explained it. Right now, following the theory, we should be buying in at 42, but I told you all, it's a little bit risky, and it kind of still is, to be honest with you. You can clearly see that the XRP reversal, which we're witnessing right now, is way stronger than the one we are seeing off of Bitcoin. And as we already described before, following complete logical sense, the Bitcoin pair is just looking a lot more quote-unquote scary rather than XRP. It looks a lot more bullish, the XRP chart. So at that point, I'm going to say right now, if I had to choose a crypto to open a long position for, I definitely choose XRP over Bitcoin, and I kind of wait with our Bitcoin position as I'm definitely not comfortable enough to open my long here and start getting it going. It's just way too risky. I told you guys all, if I'm going to buy in for Bitcoin, it's going to be $41,000, not any cent above that. And as at this point, following the fundamentals, we still actually on the Bitcoin chart look bearish, as the short position at 45,000 was still warranted. Now, if you want to get out of that right now because it's shot back up, hey, no hard feelings about that. It's definitely not a crazy idea, but I am telling you, just looking at this is not a proper reversal. Even though we hit the Fibonacci level and came back up, it doesn't mean we're actually going to continue with the uptrend or bullish move again, guys. It can definitely still be a bull trap or something of this sort. For XP, it's looking more and more like this was a little bit of a bear trap, or right now we are finding a little bit of a short squeeze, as that's literally what has just happened. Having said that, you might actually make an argument that it's going to depend on the stock market this time around. I would say yeah, but kind of no. I mean, the correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market has been so unsurprising. So surprising, so unpredictable the last couple of days, where before that we faced a really strong direct correlation, and in the midst we faced a really strong inverse correlation, that right now I'm also telling people I honestly don't think we should be watching the stock market Bitcoin connection that much, because we can't really predict whether or not it will be 1-to-1 or 1-to-1. Again, a direct or indirect, basically a direct or direct inverse correlation. Having said that, the trades over on Bybit are still doing quite juicy, and we can see a couple of really interesting things. One of those being the little top/bottom that we found for our XRP. You can see the 777 mark, which I keep shouting is the golden level for XRP. You can see how many times we basically faced it as resistance just now. It only acted as support for like the smallest amount of time, but it's acted as resistance for a little while. You can see here a lot of people are using this exact level as their point of reference, and so most likely that's because it's again a psychological barrier, or a lot of people just put a lot of sevens in, and again it's a little bit of a lucky number, people also assume, right? So right there, as I've described a couple of times, is one of the most crucial barriers that we do seem to watch for XRP. And so if we did buy in at that point, which again was my strategy number one for XRP, right now the price would already be up about 7.5% in a couple of hours, which is really not too shabby. Definitely not too shabby. Now, following our trades, XRP, we put in $300, and right now our money is worth $1,100 in total. Or yeah, about that basically. It's okay, whatever. And the Bitcoin trade, we put in about $700 to $70. It's worth about $1,500 right now. We put in about $800, and it's also in about $800 worth of profit. And again, that is the profit on top of the money that we put in. And if you're wondering how this works, guys, we opened a long position over on Bybit, which is basically we are using $337 worth to trade with $3.3 thousand worth, also known as 5,000 XRP. And that is making us the profit now because we're using leverage. You can see our buy-in price was about 83 cents right here. Oh, sorry. Our entry price was about 66.96 cents. I was like, that's pretty high. Our price right now is this right here, and the liquidation would be 60 or 61 cents. So if we get to 61 cents, we're a little bit screwed. However, with our strategy, guys, we're basically, and this is what a lot of Asian traders that I've spoken to do, specifically Asian because those are the ones that I speak to, and a lot of them that I've spoken to do this, is they open up long positions with cross, and they basically keep buying their way down. I'm not going to show you guys too much about that today because it's a lot more difficult to explain. But generally speaking, if we did not want to lose our money once we hit 61 cents, we'd basically just have to keep buying the lower we go. And again, a long position on XRP is, I think, one of the safest options. Then again, guys, it is not safe as a... safe is not the right word. I should say less risky. Because again, trading with leverage is very risky, it's very hard, and it's not something you should take too lightly. However, it's also, I guess, the most fun part of crypto, if you were to ask me. This is what makes it fun, because I would say it gets things even more volatile. It gets things a little bit more of a thrill, but also we talk about crypto as becoming a millionaire, right? As like that's what a lot of people are here for. A lot of you guys have noticed, if you only have $1,000 to start with, it's still sometimes pretty difficult to become a millionaire in a couple of years. So a lot of people like to go for the edge, basically, or to go for something which they can multiply their money with a lot. So I think personally this is something worth looking into. But again, those are just my thoughts. I'm just sharing them with you. Having said that, guys, if you are enjoying these daily crypto videos, make sure you press that like button. And again, as I've stated before, I think XRP is one of the securest bets, mostly from the perspective that, well, if a lot of the rules are changing from a treasury level, that's all nice, or anything like a federal level, whatever. But the Ripple v. SEC lawsuit will still have to conclude in some way, shape, or form, and I think it's going to be bullish, regardless of what happens on a lower layer. I think all those decisions are going to take a lot of time still. So, for example, if a bill is proposed, before it's actually completely forged and whatnot, I think a lot of that stuff will actually be done after the Ripple v. SEC lawsuit is over. And from that perspective, I think the closest thing to watch is just that Ripple versus SEC. And as you guys probably know by now, I'm on the edge of my freaking chair every single day to see once it ends. But as I've said before as well, we have a strategy in place where if it does end and we get a 10x, not more, most likely we're going to make a couple $1 million off of one single, very, very small, depending on how you view amount of money trade, purely because of the strategy which we're going to impose. It's going to be crazy, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be crazy. But that reminds me, guys, if you don't have the notification bell on just quite yet, right now is the best time, because what if you miss out on this crazy announcement just because you didn't have the notification bell on? I'm warning you, check it out, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.